I never thought I'd be the kind of man who discovered betrayal in his own home. But life has a cruel way of teaching you truths you never wanted to learn. My wife, Claire, and I had been married for 7 years. On the outside, we looked solid. Weekend dinners, vacations once a year, the occasional argument but nothing unusual. Behind closed doors, though, cracks had been forming, subtle at first, like hairline fractures no one notices until the whole thing shatters. I began sensing the shift when her laughter no longer reached me. It was always reserved for someone on the other end of her phone. Her late nights at work multiplied. Her excuses became polished rehearsals, and her eyes carried a glow I hadn't seen in years, but it wasn't for me. I wanted to dismiss my gut feeling as paranoia. But the evidence piled up in whispers and silences until I couldn't ignore it. The confirmation came one Friday evening. She left her laptop open on the counter, something she rarely did. A notification flashed his name. I clicked before my hesitation could stop me, and the messages spilled out like poison. Words of intimacy, promises of weekends together. Things that were once sacred between us now handed to another man. My hands trembled, but my face stayed calm, because in that moment, I realized rage would only destroy me further. If she had chosen betrayal, I would choose strategy. I didn't confront her immediately. I smiled at dinner, asked about her day, even kissed her goodnight while my mind was already working through the next steps. Over the years, I had built our savings carefully, contributing more while she spent freely. She had always trusted me to handle the finances, never questioning where the money sat or how it grew. That blind trust, ironically, became my shield. While she laughed into her phone at night, I quietly began moving our savings into an account she couldn't touch. Not out of spite, but out of survival. If she wanted to throw away our marriage for stolen moments with someone else, I wouldn't let her walk away with the foundation I had built. Every transfer felt like reclaiming a piece of my dignity. A quiet reminder that I wasn't powerless. Weeks passed, and Claire remained oblivious. She was too caught up in the thrill of sneaking around, convinced that I was still the trusting husband she could manipulate. She smiled more, but never at me. She dressed better, spent longer in front of the mirror, and her perfume lingered in the house long after she went out with friends. I played along, asking no questions, pretending not to notice. Inside, though, I was already gone. I began to observe her with a strange detachment, as though I was watching a stranger perform a role. She laughed, but the sound felt hollow. She leaned in to kiss me, but her lips were cold. Each moment only confirmed that she had made her choice, and so I quietly prepared to make mine. The secret bank account grew while she stayed busy living her double life, and with every transfer I felt calmer, steadier. I wasn't planning an explosive confrontation. I was planning my freedom. The day came when she slipped up. I returned home earlier than usual and found her car in the driveway, though she had told me she was working late. Walking inside, I heard a voice that didn't belong, male, low, and far too comfortable within my walls. They were in our living room, the space where we once celebrated anniversaries, exchanged gifts, and dreamed about the future. Now it was their hideout. I stood silently at the doorway, unseen, listening to the easy way she spoke to him. How her tone was softer and warmer than it had been with me for years. He laughed, and she touched his arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. That was the moment I knew there was no saving us. The marriage wasn't broken, it was already dead. I didn't storm in. I didn't shout. I simply stepped back out, shut the door quietly, and drove away. She never even knew I was there. That night, I finished moving the last of the savings, sealing my decision. A week later, when the account was secure and the paperwork ready, I placed the divorce documents on the kitchen table before leaving for work. No screaming, no accusations, just the truth in ink. When she found them, her world would shatter, but unlike me, she had chosen her destruction. When Claire discovered the papers, the facade cracked instantly. That evening, she called me dozens of times, her voice trembling on voicemail, swinging between anger and desperation. "James, you can't be serious. Let's talk. We can fix this." But there was nothing left to fix. She had made her choice long before I made mine. When I finally walked through the door that night, she was waiting in the kitchen, eyes red from crying, divorce papers spread across the table. "Why?" she demanded, though the question rang hollow. We both knew the answer. I sat down calm, collected, and for the first time in years, I spoke without hesitation. I know everything, Claire. The late nights. The lies. Him. I saw enough to understand exactly where your loyalty went. While you were busy destroying us, I was preparing for my own future. And now you're not a part of it. Her face went pale. You moved the money? She whispered. I nodded, watching the realization wash over her like a storm. The savings she assumed would always be there. Our safety net, our shared foundation, was now out of her reach. She had gambled with our marriage and lost more than just me. She tried bargaining, promising change, begging for another chance. But I had already grieved the loss of us long before that night. The man who once clung to hope was gone, replaced by someone who had chosen peace over betrayal. This isn't revenge, I told her. It's release. You made your choice when you thought I wouldn't notice. I'm making mine now and I won't look back. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Claire realized that the power she once held, the power of deceit, manipulation, and half-truths, was gone. I walked away not with anger, but with clarity. The marriage ended not in flames, but in a quiet severing that left her scrambling while I finally felt free. Weeks later, as I settled into a smaller place of my own, I looked at the balance in the account and felt no joy, only relief. The money wasn't victory, it was survival. What mattered most was that I had reclaimed myself. Claire could chase whatever thrill she thought she needed, but I no longer had to carry the weight of her betrayal. The marriage had ended the moment she betrayed me. Moving the savings was simply the final act of taking back control.